Hi there, welcome. We look forward to you joining us as we, the Bearded Bible Brothers, have a conversation. I am your bearded host, Josiah Marshall.
And I'm your other bearded host, Matt Crosswhite.
We like beards.
We love beards.
Yes, we
and
do.
if you are not a bearded person, either because you are a female or because you choose to shave your chin every morning, we do not hold that against you. You are still welcome here, but we have beards and we are fond of them.
Yes, we are. We are not scholars, but nor are we trained individuals in the topics that we'll be discussing. But we are just two brothers who enjoy having these conversations and look forward to you joining us in them. And if you have any negative comments, whatever they may be, we look forward to you sending them in and joining in our conversation in the episodes to come.
So let's jump in together and start today's study.
Just started a new podcast called Young Heretics, and it's by Spencer Clavin, who's the son of Andrew Clavin.
Why does that name sound familiar?
Andrew Clavin works for Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles.
Okay.
And so Spencer Clavin is an absolute genius. Got his degrees in ancient Greek philosophy, and I am loving his podcast. I just started it this morning, but I got his book, How to Save the West, or something to that effect, and I started reading it last night, and it was absolutely phenomenal. I was like, and so I looked him up. It's the only book he's written so far, but he also has the podcast, and I was like, yes.
What's the podcast called again?
Young Heretics.
Pardon me. Not seeing that. I'm seeing him as a special guest on others. But then I'm on Spotify. Let's see.
I would imagine it would probably be on Spotify.
Oh my word. Okay, get it out before we record. Okay, there he is. Oxford educated. Wow.
Yeah, he did his undergrad at Yale and then his graduate studies at Oxford.
Wow. Okay.
In fact, I went all the way back to the beginning. So his first podcasts are in 2020. His second podcast is about the book of Isaiah. And he says near the beginning of the podcast, because he compares and contrasts it to the Iliad, it was super cool. It was super cool.
Huh.
But he says, okay, disclaimer on the front end. I got my master's and my graduate studies at Oxford in England. So I pronounce it Isaiah. I'll do my best to say Isaiah, but he's like, I'm trying to relearn how to speak Merkin.
Merkin. Love it.
I was like, I love this guy.
Sounds like a very down to earth
speaks with like the most sultry, deep voice. It's this is my man.
You're Barry Manilow.
I have a new celebrity crush, and he's not even a celebrity.
What do they call that? A bromance?
Yeah. Did I tell you about the Heights staff retreat I went to?
No.
And they had us fill out like a questionnaire of like getting to know you type questions.
Okay.
Like, what was your favorite song in high school? Like a little bit more obscure ones than just what's your favorite Bible verse.
Okay.
And then one of them was like, who is your celebrity crush? And I was like, number one, I don't do that.
Yeah.
But number two, I'm gonna be in a room full of Christian ministers. That's not really appropriate. And so I put Chris Hemsworth. because I wanted it to be intentionally off-putting and intentionally evasive. And so when it got around to my turn and I answered that question, I said, from everything I've seen online, he's a really great dad and a really great husband and
Hmm.
kind of inspiring.
Hmm.
And so they were like, "Oh, okay." But I was literally the only guy who dodged the question by doing something like that. All the rest of them said these whatever hot babes. I don't know
Oh
most
no.
actor actresses names. But I was like, I'm not sure we should be doing this.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It can go into that idolization kind of thinking, and just yeah, I and even just the more inappropriate of going, oh, I've got a crush, so it's
Exactly.
got some sort of sexual undertone to it. It's like, I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like why are we actually encouraging looking at people besides our spouses?
Right.
Are we doing that right now?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And it's funny because Heather and I have had that same kind of conversation through the years, and if there was at least one that I would come close to say admire, I admire this guy enough to where I've read some of his biographies, and I've actually listened to some of his interviews, and I would give weight to what he has to say, and I would give weight to the behavior and the attitude that he had, and that was Jimmy Stewart. So anytime somebody asks,
really?
oh yeah, oh yeah, that guy was absolutely extraordinary to me. I remember first seeing him. I believe it was Mr. Smith Goes to Washington with my grandmother.
Hmm.
And no, no, excuse me. It's a Wonderful Life. Young kid. That was the first thing I saw. But the
Yeah.
next thing I saw with him was It's a Wonderful Life, I believe. And Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and then of course all of his others.
I knew what you meant.
And it's just the way he presented himself. It's not Charles Bronson coming in with a machine gun, and it's not Chris Pratt coming in with his kind of dirty jokes. It's a very quiet gentleman who who can make truth, honesty, and integrity look good, and
Hmm.
look to the point where there's something about him that acts as gravity. He pulls you in. He's got that quiet confidence, but this quiet magnetism that just draws you in, and you go, "What does he got to say?" Right? And
That's
you remember
cool.
those old? Did you ever see those old Dean Martin roasts?
No.
No, Dean Martin, he was a drunk. um, he,
Right.
he would set up this dais, right, and it was his long table, and he'd invite all of these actors and celebrities, even politicians. It was nuts the kind of the diversity he had on that dais, and they would roast a person. It would be the man of the hour, man of the day, man of the month, man of the year, stuff like that. And um, when they got Jimmy, I saw this whole thing. I've seen it more than once. That's me being geeky. Anyways, everybody got up. Now there was one guy who was known as Paul Little. He was the impersonator of his day, and he's of course standing there and he's impersonating Jimmy. Well, and so but the last person to speak was a guy named Orson Welles, and
Why do I
Orson,
know that name?
yeah,
He's an author, right?
yes, actually, he was a
What did he
very
write?
intelligent man. He even did
Orson Welles.
what was that called? Very Citizen Kane. He played the lead in Citizen Kane,
Oh,
if I'm not
yes.
mistaken. And then he also did the radio live dramatization of War of the Worlds. But the guy,
That's the one I know.
yeah,
The World, the World.
he was extraordinarily educated, very
Hmm.
sophisticated. The guy opens his mouth, and it's just, you can tell there's a lot of thought put into what he's saying. And it's not necessarily big words, but it's definitely sophisticated words. So he's
Sure.
standing there, and he looks at Jimmy, and there's several things he says. One, he says, Jimmy, you are an evergreen in a forest of Hollywood amongst a myriad of plants that grow and wither within short periods of time, some longer than others. But you, sir, are an evergreen. And that
So
right,
much for a roast.
right? And then he goes in to say, he says, oh, and he says something offhanded about how Hollywood got him. And he says, no, wait, that's wrong. Hollywood never got him. Because all we've been able to do up here, sir, is imitate you. And that's all we're able to do.
Oh wow.
Not it
That's super cool.
it was so amazing because even some of the others made a point of they didn't even roast Jimmy. They wouldn't even talk to Jimmy. They were roasting everybody else. And Jimmy's just sitting there. And Lucille Ball, she's sitting right next to Jimmy. And so when Orson says that, she kind of gushed and went, "Oh, isn't that the truth?" Sort of thing. And so, and then Jimmy, you could see in his eyes the appreciation and admiration he had for Orson.
Mhm.
Stood up, shook his hand, and everything. But this is just one of those guys who it was a job to him. He wasn't trying to make it more than it was. And when he got called in for military service, he went into the Army Air Corps as a pilot and he flew over 30 raids in the European theater. And the guy was 6'3", 6'4". He couldn't fit in the beds. And so when he did the Spirit of St. Louis, and he's doing Charles Lindbergh's Flight, the movie. If I recall correctly, there was an interview. He said that when Charles was going through the Army Air Corps, he actually modified his bunk bed so that there was a slide out. So he created a slide so it slid out the end of the bed so that Charles could lay down completely flat. And then he jury rigged a lever on the side of his bunk to pull his feet in and then pull that tray in whenever there was the midnight spot inspection while everybody's sleeping, because it was technically against regs. And he said, if I had had that idea, I could have saved myself so much pain sleeping in those beds. So, anyways, if there was definitely one guy I could talk about for a while, it's definitely Jimmy Stewart. So
I'll have to check him out.
here we
I've
go.
just recently like fallen in love with
Mm-hmm.
and on like fangirling over like hard um Jim Caviezel.
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 Yeah, so no wonder you had two movies with him in it. Okay, all right.
Yeah, and it started just this week. Somebody sent me a little clip of him talking on Fox News. Oh my gosh.
Oh, very
Dude is a
soft spoken.
powerhouse.
Oh, he sure is.
Soft
He's soft
spoken, but
spoken.
he's
Yeah. Oh
powerful
yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
he's speaking out against abortion and against what's happening in our culture and
Mm.
the culture war that's happening and the passivity of the church.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
so
Did you ever see
I am
his?
legit fangirling over him right now.
Did you ever?
Like like at a teenage girl at a Justin Bieber concert.
Oh
That's
no.
how into this I am right now.
I finally saw my first
I actually
clips.
sent him a message on Instagram. He hasn't messaged me back, but
Oh really?
we'll
What'd you
see.
say?
Oh, here, let me read it to you. But no, that's not it. Stop it.
You ever seen his
Nope.
testimony about he was at a very large mega church and he's talking about his experience on the the Passion of the Christ. Um,
Yeah.
and oh man, he at one point he just stood up and he was preaching.
Hmm.
But did you find it?
So yeah, I sent him hi Mr. Caviezel. My name is Matt. I'm a pastor in Prescott, Arizona. I recently saw a clip of you being interviewed on Fox News. What you said was powerful, brilliant, and much needed. I'm in the process of deprogramming myself of a theology that elevates passivity for the sake of peace above all else.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to reading the diaries and writings of George Washington, John Adams, and other founding fathers, can you recommend other books and resources that would aid me? I am, of course, reading and rereading scripture, but I'm finding it difficult to read past the lullaby effect that comes with familiarity. I appreciate all your work and am inspired by your strength and faith.
The lullaby effect that comes with that was very well put.
Thanks, man.
That is very well put. I like that. That definitely communicates a great deal. I'm very interested to hear what he ends up saying back, perhaps.
Yeah, I hope he responds. I messaged Candace Owens once and she never got back. So we'll see if he messages back. But
That is cool.
right on his Instagram page, he says, "Hey, everybody, this is my only social media. Don't go looking for me on Twitter or anything because this is the only one I've got." It's like, well, maybe he'll respond. Who knows?
Maybe. Yeah, I've only gotten. Let's see. I've only gotten responses from Alan Alda, President Ronald Reagan, President Bill Clinton, Barack Obama. I didn't even write Joe Biden. I got a response from one of the ladies in waiting for Queen Elizabeth.
Wow.
And I think that's it. And so, boy, that'd be cool to hear what Jim has to say.
Right?
Yeah. So, anyways, we've
We should
practically
probably
put together a podcast
start
already.
this thing.
Well, we've
Right?
we could dub this one. This could be like this, like a bonus clip of going. Okay, this is our
Right.
celebrity crushes.
Yeah, male actors that you have that you fangirl about.
Yeah. If there was one, let's see. If there was one other, I admire a lot. Keanu Reeves.
I don't know much about him.
He's a very quiet individual, and one of the things that does that he doesn't necessarily go out of his way to prevent this. It's just he just does what he does, and whatever gets publicized, so be it. But
Sure.
he lost his wife, he lost his daughter, he became homeless. He lost a great deal. The man has been through extraordinary pain, but he's just a person, and he acts like one. He'll ride the train. Somebody's got spotted him riding a subway, and he's sitting down, and a woman gets on the subway, and he offers her his seat, and he just gets up and stands there. Nobody really sees him. And there was even a plane flight where in California the plane had an emergency landing. He ends up renting he could have just taken off, but he rented a van, put everybody on that plane in those vans, and drove them to the destination. Even stopped along the way to have meals with them. It's just a guy. And I'm going,
That's so cool.
that. I like that.
Right?
So,
I wish I was rich so I could do stuff like that
right.
more.
Right? So there's others I respect. Patrick Stewart's one of them.
Yeah, Denzel Washington.
Denzel, yep. Sean Connery, a little bit. Morgan Freeman for a while there. But
I like some of his thoughts, but
Sandra Bullock. So,
cool.
anyways, all right, you start us off. We've got 2 podcasts worth of stuff here, so at least one.
You know, if you want to take everything that we just did and edit it into an episode, I'd be totally good with that.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for joining us today, folks. Our email address is spiritedbiblebrothers@gmail.com. Please message us with your celebrity crushes, and we'll see you next time.
Oy vey.